Hi, everybody. So for this week, we are going to do 7 different lessons that have to do with men. And so they're different issues that men themselves deal with with remarriage. So this lesson is going to be titled "When Things Get Hard in Remarriage."
All right, so obviously for this 7 series, you're going to hear more from me than you are from Brenda for obvious reasons. So when things get hard in the remarriage, now it's hard to nail that down to really 3 things. We're going to talk about 3 things like we usually do, but it is hard to nail down because for one guy it's going to be these 3 things, for another guy it's going to be these 3 things, and I get it, it's difficult. So, but let's talk about the 3 things that I see the most. All right, number 1 being, why can't my wife let it go? All right, so this tends to happen more in the remarriage situation than it does in a standard marriage situation. Not that it never happens in a standard marriage situation, but you have so much more baggage in a remarriage. Guys will often think, why can't my wife just let it go? Well, because your wife is not you, she's not male, all right? Like we've talked about before, guys are able to put everything in their own little boxes and kind of separate and sort and file that way, whereas women, everything connects with everything. And so there's just, it's for them, the whole box concept is atypically not doable. So we as men, we've got to be more aware. We've got to be more aware that the things that she's feeling aren't just the one thing, they're fueled by other things coming in right behind them. Okay, kind of like jet fuel. So why can't your wife let it go? Well, really, have you given her an opportunity to let it go, or do you expect her to just drop it like a rock right now because you can? When in truth, you aren't really dropping it like a rock either. You're just putting it away to deal with later, but still to deal with, okay? So that kind of then, it can create a lot of friction. And so I would encourage you, men, to be a little more understanding, because that is not always our strong point. It's not always our strong point, correct?
Oh, you're pretty good at it.
Well, yeah,
most
but
men, yes.
I'm the anomaly. So, but a lot of men are just, they get irritated very quickly over it. And they're just like, I don't understand why she can't let it go. And the point is she needs both of you to be okay with it. All right. Seeing you be like, oh, it's no big deal, I don't care. That's not seeing you be okay with it. That's seeing you stuff it or put it aside. Which kind of roles, do you have something to add to that?
Well, I guess the one thing I would remind you of is that women connect everything to everything. And you kind of talked about that, but it's really easy for men to duke it out, get in a big fight with their guy friends, and then be fine after the fight. That's not necessarily how women are. So keep that in mind when you're dealing with your wife, because she's not one of your buddies. It's different.
Yeah, and the reason she can't let it go, like I said, is because it's not just that she's holding on to.
Yeah.
She may talk about just that, but it's being fueled by other little things too. Which rolls right into, why is everything a fight? Well, yeah, those two are kind of connected, but why is everything a fight? Well, a lot of times everything is a fight because she doesn't feel that you're listening. And you're like, no, I heard you. And she's like, no. Okay, so there are some different semantics on that, in the fact that a woman will tell you once and think that you should remember for the next 12 months.
It's kind of true.
Okay. All right, whereas guys, let's be honest, we heard it, it registered, and it registered as it went in this ear, and it came right out this one, because it's not necessarily on our priority list. Or our wives are trying to give us valuable information while we're doing something, because we just talked about how we're kind of box guys, and if that box isn't open, we don't have a place to store it, and so it just kind of flits in the wind off into the warehouse somewhere. So why is everything a fight? Because you just need to take, and I'm not saying anything about the wife. Does the wife need to repeat herself a little more? Yeah. She may not like it. That doesn't matter. Just say it until it gets done, but don't nag. There is a fine line. So, but guys, if your wife is trying to tell you something and you at least sense, you catch that it might be valuable information, stop what you're doing. Of course, unless you're elbow deep in something and the whole dam is going to burst if you take your hand off that one thing, which is not usually the case. Okay, so but take a second, stop, look at her, and ask her to write it down for you. Did you know that 9 times out of your 10, your wife does not have a problem writing something down for you, or even putting it on a calendar, because to her, that's progress. That's you committing and saying, yeah, I got it, because you said, go do this for me so that I can remember it, and she will be all over that. I mean, all over that. Yes.
Well, and really, then we wives don't feel like we're being your mother. We don't feel like we're nagging you to do something that we want done. Maybe we have a honey-do list, but we want to just tell you once. If you ask us to just write it down for you, we're happy to do so, like Mike said.
Yeah.
It really kind of takes that, I don't know.
The edge.
The edge away, so that the woman doesn't feel like she's constantly reminding you.
Now keep in mind too, I mean, this has to do with marriage and remarriage. Now in remarriage, there are a lot more moving parts and a lot more things that you have to deal with and a lot more emotions and emotional baggage. And so I have seen why is everything have to be a fight, be more prevalent, that's my big word for the day, prevalent in a remarriage than a regular marriage, but it still applies to both.
Yeah.
So that brings us into, am I helping or hindering? All right, so you guys are going to find out really quick that I am pretty straightforward and I'm not going to be nice about things. Most dudes like to just sit there and bark out commands, and that doesn't work, all right? If you are just saying, I need this, I need this, I need this, and you're not doing anything in return, then you should fully expect to get nothing, okay? You should fully expect to get flack. You should fully expect to get nagged. You should fully expect to get all those things because you're not stepping up. So I would encourage you to step up. I'm not saying do everything. We'll cover that in a later video. But what I am saying is be the help. Don't be the hinder. Don't be the reason things aren't getting done because you're lazy. Be the reason things are getting done because you're at the forefront of the charge.
Well, and one of the reasons that I really appreciate Mike as a husband, but also as a person, is he doesn't expect me to do something that he's not already doing himself. And for a lot of women, that's a huge thing. If you're going to sit there and bark orders, we're not going to listen. Sorry, it's not going to happen. A woman has to have respect for a man in order for her to choose to do things the way that he asks.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, one of the most common things I've seen is we are a single income household. I've always been the one that's worked and brought the money in, and Brenda has primarily stayed home. Now all of our kids are gone, and that has transitioned a little bit. Now Brenda doesn't work per se, but we do have a side business that she works on actively, and this is a huge part of that. So, you know, I still come home after a long day and I still do dishes. And I still, why? Because I recognized that as our boys started to leave, I needed to start picking some of that up because I couldn't expect her, even though she was at home, to do everything. The whole purpose was I didn't want to hinder her by her feeling she had to do everything because I hadn't been doing those things before. I needed to be aware, I needed to be present, and I needed to just step in without asking. And to this day, she still gets mad at me for doing dishes, but I still do them. Not because I do them wrong.
No.
But because she's like, that's not your job. Well, no, boys are gone. It is now part of my job, too.
Well, and I appreciate it because it takes the load off me. Running a household is just as hard as working a job. Even when you don't have kids at home anymore, it's a different hard, but it still takes a lot of time to run a household. And so when Mike will do that for me, if I have a busy day with, you know, doing the side business, he's more than willing to do whatever I need. And I don't even have to ask him, which I love because that would make me feel like I was expecting. And he works hard too. So it's really important to him to honor me that way. And honestly, it makes me work harder because I want to honor him by not having a huge amount for him to do when he gets home. So it's really a win-win for both of us, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. And just remember that every couple has a point system.
Yeah.
Every point system is different. No couple handles their point system the same. If you're looking to score big points just because you're the head of the house, you are delusional.
Yeah.
Okay. Things like doing the dishes and all that, now don't do them because you're looking for points, but as a result, they will score you big points.
Yes, they will. And you know, the thing about that is that it's really important to remember that women and men do score each other differently. You can do something for your wife and think it's this amazing thing, and she's gonna go like, that was nice, but you know, it's really only worth a little to me, you know? And so it's really important to remember that. So with that, we are going to end this session. We're Mike and Brenda Baker, and we're so very thankful that you were here with us today. We hope that this 7-part series is really going to help to empower you as men to be the best that you can be for your household. And so that's what all of these lessons are going to be about. There will be a playlist as soon as we get them all done, and they'll be there for your viewing pleasure. And if this series has helped you, or you have a question or a comment, please leave it below, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Bye.